Hello and welcome to Education Talk. Now, this is one of your best programs on education on television. Today, we'll be looking at the schools in Shanghai, what made them the top performing schools, and also other issues on the news, and the Creative Thinking webinar by Dr. Chris. Dr. Chris is here in our studios today. He's a consultant and an advisor to presidents and monarchs when it comes to education. Dr. Chris, you're very welcome to our studios.
Thank you for your very kind invitation.
You're welcome. Shanghai, the highest performing education system in international tests, copied ideas for an inspection system from England, according to Shangchang Tang, education leader from the Chinese city. In his own words, Mr. Tang said one factor in Shanghai's success had been a deliberate process of borrowing ideas from other countries, such as England's system of inspection and accountability, or looking at qualifications from around the world. Let's watch this clip.
以往我们采取的方法都是派研究人员、派优秀的教师下去各听课、交流、辅导。我们一离开，他们又回到原来的路上去上课了。也就是说，他的行为的改变必须是系统的、持续的。
应该说，上海基础教育的教育质量是比较稳定的。如果说在教育发展中会碰到什么问题，我们今天会碰到的是教育质量的不平衡。比如，但是在教育发展中间又会有很多新学校建起来，而这些新学校，因为它缺乏传统，它的教育经验的积累，它的师资队伍的积淀。 都有一个过程。
1、2、3、4，它叫抹，一起说抹。对齐，滴答。
那么如何来改变这种现状呢？我们就想到了，是不是能够把一些好的学校，相对困难的学校，
同学们都没有入手的地方呢？大家有没有点过蜡烛？
点过，
蜡烛点过。蜡烛在点的过程中，蜡烛它是一点一点变。
通常来讲，有比较好的学校派出一个团队到比较薄弱的学校去，他通过对薄弱学校的一种管理，在管理的过程中间，也带领原来薄弱学校的老师。 在这个过程里面，不断地积累自己的经验，把学校的管理方式、管理理念、提高教学质量的一整套做法。
看，在你们的积累当中，你
这样，我们刚刚来的时候呢，我们确实感觉这个学校呢有很不尽如人意的地方。这个教师的上课的很随意。 没有教案，没有准备，学生呢头低着，不敢看老师，他不敢看老师，就是很没有自信，很没有自信。这个管理呢很粗放，就是没有章法，没有规矩，没有规矩，
对吧？那么这个一变以后呢，这里你要把它变掉，变成 x1，那么学生读 x1、x2。还有一个呢，我个人的观点，还是要积极的发现学生的问题，因为你现在听课没办法，还是发现问题，学生问题可能还是有问题，你把它逐步的解决掉，对吧？那么你这个解决以后，这个解题这个过程倒可以掉，可以的，安排我们每个礼拜都要来一次，这里有一个专家组，我呢是搞数学的，那么和老师一起研究一下，怎么样上课。 怎么样使教的东西使学生懂？我听课主要是有这么几个要求，因为这个备课是一起备的，每个礼拜呢都进行备课，所以我看看我们所研究的这个目标，它是否能反映出来。我看最要注意的问题就是刚才我讲的这个问题， 就是要发现学生问题。那可能和这个今天这个时间有关系。他平时好像不是这样，平时好像他很注意，这个教师很注意学生的问题，然后帮他解决的。所以他这个班整个顺序一直是往上跑的。
100. 100. Okay, very good. Now let's go on the lesson. Next one, can you read these numbers? I will show it to you.
这是一个渐进的过程，渐进的过程。老师们呢，他有的呢，他是变化很大，有的呢，老师呢，比较迟一点，对吧？说1年以后，我们就感觉，甚至半年以后，我们就感觉有一部分教师，特别是年轻的教师，他的进步比较大，学生的头抬起来了，对吧？教师自信了，学生也自信了，对吧？
Now, some key points to note. 1. The system used in Shanghai, Dr. Chris, is a borrowed system from England, our Ofsted inspection system. 2. The behavior of the teacher is very important. Now, why isn't England replicating the same success in Shanghai if they borrowed our system?
I think this is applicable to most of human endeavor. You can look at sports. The game of soccer was invented, football was invented in England, and now it's been exported, and then the export have modified it, retuned it, so the local cultural values have been imposed on it, and now you've come up with a Mark II. Meanwhile, we're still holding on to Mark I or the old version of things. So if the state system consistently see a difference between the state educational system and then the independent sector and then the comprehensive sector, each person defends his own little nick of the wood and say, mine is better. But if we all break down the barriers and say, look, these are children, they will not work in the independent sector or work in the state sector. Every child that graduates from a university goes into the job market. Every entrepreneur goes into the same pool. So why are we so pedantic when it comes to training them? We don't think there's any sectoral advantage in saying, because I'm independent, because there are independent schools that are mediocre. There are state schools that are great. So what we need to do is break down the barrier and allow the various sectors to interact with each other and borrow the best from each other and come up with a new, if you like, a new compound that says, this is what makes the independent sector successful. We pick that. This is what makes the faith schools successful. We take that. This is what makes the sporting schools extremely successful. We bring that together. And then we merge it in the interest of the students, not because of professional arrogance or because of sectoral differences, because that's whoever really suffers at the end of the day is the student. And so the teacher remains a teacher and will go on to retire as a teacher and gets his salary. The student will suffer if for any reason they are low in grades or low in the attributes they are supposed to have acquired between the crucial ages of 11 and 16, and therefore they are lacking in it. It will affect their work experience, it will affect their relationship, it affects all of life. So education does not have to just do with a certification, it has to do with a holistic human being that will be coming out at the end of the process.
One of the things we noticed from Shanghai is that there's strong teachers, especially in maths, from the very good schools are exporting some teachers to underperforming schools, making the teachers better, and because of that, their public state schools, that's their public schools now, not even the private or independent schools, are sound. The educational system is really sound and tops. Do you think our independent schools and private schools here will be able to export teachers to state schools? Is that feasible here?
It started at a very low scale. We've had a lot of independent schools now having academies. Technically, they've picked up a school that is failing and they've managed to mentor the leadership and try and correct what they saw as a default in it. We have some sixth forms that came, the independent school in Brighton and Eton came together and were able to work out a sixth form. But I want their entire ethos exported to it, not just a superficial collaboration. I want to be able to say, look, this is what we do in our school, that's why we are successful, this is what we want you to do if you want us to work with you. We mustn't dilute the culture, because what has happened is that the so-called academies have not absorbed, for instance, the sporting ethos of the independent school. They've not looked at the musical ethos of the independent school. So you see, you've only taken a part of it, and if you get a part of it, you're not going to make any significant inroads as far as achievements and attainment is concerned.
Let's look at the confidence of the student. That is one of the things that is lacking in most state schools, and Shanghai dealt with it. What it simply did was to retrain the mindset and behavior of the teacher and let the teacher know how to boost the confidence of the students. Can that be replicated here?
If we have the humility to understand that learning is progressive, if the teachers understand that you're a teacher because you're a learner, that means what I learned, what I knew last year is totally different from what I knew 5 years ago. And what I'm going to know next year is going to be different from now. So I learn from my students all the time. I get feedback from my students and therefore modify my delivery method, modify my thinking, and modify my philosophy. If that is there as an essential ingredient that we are all learning, then it's fairly easy that we will all improve and things will change. But somehow, some professionals have had that in them, that they've stopped learning, that they graduated from university with all the knowledge they need to teach, and therefore nobody can teach them something new. If you go with that, if anybody goes with that attitude, in any walk of life, you're going to find that continual professional development is going to be stunted. It means that new tools and new technologies that are coming will not be available to you because you've already shut your mind to it. We have some teachers today that use the old chalk and talk method. They haven't recognized the existence of multimedia devices in driving ideas. They haven't even recognized the existence of PowerPoint. That means they do not employ PowerPoint, let alone social media. So if you don't use new tools, because we have chosen to be stuck in the past, we will be relics of history. Other countries will overtake us. But if we wake up to the fact that, look, it's not who started the race first, it's who is ready to innovate. If you innovate, you change, you renew your mind, you get new revelation, and you teach in a very, very productive way. And I think that's what every teacher should know, that they are first of all a learner, not that you are the learned person, therefore you don't need to learn anything.
Okay, let's talk about your creative thinking seminar. Well, this brings us to it. Is it for parents, the student, or the teachers who need their mindsets to be changed for some of them?
We all learn. So if you're a parent, primarily it's designed to help the students come up with thinking processes. But if you're a parent, you're going to mentor your son or mentor your daughter. You must find out what the child or what your child is learning. So primarily are the student or the pupils, but the parent have to listen and see what is being taught and why it's being taught this way. The teacher, if you're a teacher, like we mentioned before, you're a teacher because you already know that knowledge is progressive. The biology textbook you read 5 years ago is no longer relevant for today. That's the reason why we have a new edition. And then we have a new edition. The ones that was available 15 years ago was an old edition. Because knowledge is progressive, you have to update, just like you do with your mobile phones. You download a new update on your phone because you want it to be performing at an optimum level. So if you are a parent, you must log in, because if you don't log in, there's going to be a gap in your knowledge. You have not updated the software that you used in learning, and therefore when your son or your daughter is doing things in a new way, you'll be uncomfortable with it, or you'll be lost, or you condemn it. Because what we don't know, what we're uncomfortable, we will condemn. But if you attend the seminar and understand, oh, this is a better way of doing things, this is a quicker way of doing things, then you know that, oh, I think we had it before, let me experiment with it. Find out whether it really delivers. If it delivers, you add it to your arsenal of learning weapons. If it doesn't, then you jettison it. There are no two ways about it. So try the new system and you'll find out that your son or your daughter becomes far more creative in terms of dealing with any problem. It can be intellectual, it can be academic, it can be sporting. It's a universal principle that can be applied across the subjects and across the disciplines.
Which means most parents are actually not able to take advantage of the educational opportunities available to their children because they are not conversant with the system. For example, a parent who is not aware of scholarship opportunities, and these scholarships are free.
Yes, if you don't update yourself, the reason why we have daily newspapers is because there are daily events that are going to change the way we see life. So if you read the newspaper at all, then you have an obligation to read the learning, if you like, learning times. You have the obligation as well to improve yourself, because what we had yesteryears will not be available in the coming years. And if we want to be in the cutting edge, not for the sake of being cutting edge, but the sake of being productive and very efficient, we have to learn the new tools. Because if we use the new tools, we get better products, we get improved results, and know we can do much more within a limited period of time.
And the student is at the center of this all.
The student enjoys it because the students are given tasks. So it's not just somebody lecturing to you, you're given a task to do and say, okay, if you have 4 boys going up the mountain and one gets injured and you have 3 carrying them and each one weighs a particular number of kilograms, what will be the total weight of boys coming down the hill? So you have to sit down. It's not something that you can just add 2 and 2 and get 4. You have to unravel, you have to break down every component of that problem, see which ones contribute to the solution and see which one best contribute to the solution.
Still on the responsibility of the parent when it comes to the education of the child, what is the significance of the month of July?
Well, the month of July indicates the end of the one academic year. But most significantly, it tells you what you must do in this particular time now in order to enhance your child's position in the new academic year. The month of July has very serious deadlines for submission of certain forms. Particularly if you are a Year 5 parent, you must visit as many schools as possible now, not in September. Because by the time you come back in September, all the dates are expired, literally. The key vital dates in your process of going to Year 7, remember, you have a whole academic year ahead of you. This is where most parents lose the opportunity to get the best for their children because they think, oh, we still have time. No, you don't. You need to have, by now, visited the website of the specific schools that you are aspiring to send your son to. You don't take a day at a time. You don't say, we'll fix it when we get there. No, by the time you get there, the best is gone because it's a first come, first served basis. So you must interest your son or your daughter in some specific school, attend the open days, opportunity for you to interrogate students of the school, current students of the school, interrogate the teachers, and then make multiple applications. If you make multiple applications, you have a choice. If you make one singular application, you have no choice because that school will either reject you or accept you. But if you have 4 acceptances, then you can say, okay, I think I want the first or I want the third, or you can sit down and say, this is what we need to do. So July is just far too important for people that are going to transition. And you don't have to be in the terminal state, you have to be in Year 5. And the same applies to you if you're in Year 10, you must make your visits now. The same applies to you if you're in Year 12, you must make your visits now. So it's the penultimate year rather than the ultimate year.
I was just about to ask for Year 11 and Year 12, those about to go into university.
Year 12, this is the time you visit every single university. It is folly for you to look at the university prospectus and make any application. It is absolutely folly because you don't even get 0.05% of the information you require to make an informed decision. So the prospectus is, if you like, an invitation for you to visit the facilities, interview people, do your research. Go on an online blog, because I blog from time to time about this. Go on an online blog and find out why is one school different from the other? Why is the destination of the students radically different from the other when they are essentially looking at the same catchment? If you don't understand this, you are very, very prone to make mistakes when you are choosing the schools or the universities or the courses you want to study. Because some universities run a 3-term year, others run a 2-semester year. How will that come out on the prospectus? No, it won't come out. You need to visit it and know why you have 12 weeks and then you have 6 weeks or 8 weeks for a term.
Let's look at internship now. What is the importance and significance of internship and who should be going for internship?
Any child that is Year 9 or higher should seriously consider doing some form of work placement or internship, or call it whatever you want. That means interact with the future professionals that you're going to be working with. It will give you the why. It will give you why have you chosen certain subjects. It will give you why have you given priorities to certain subjects, because those ones are related to the profession you are aspiring to do. Because our school system does not cater for our career development or our career choices. Our school system delivers content relevant to a specific body of knowledge. So you go there, you listen to your biology teacher tells you about biology. You go to your maths class, your maths teacher tells you about mathematics. But it doesn't tell you 16 different professions that will require maths. And if that is one of your profession, then you have to be very serious with it, or require maths at A level. It doesn't tell you which part of your curriculum matches directly with your future aspiration. So that massive gap is there. And it's for society to fill it, it's for communities to fill it. The leader in this case has to be the parent. The parent has to be informed and re-educated on what are the occupational challenges and occupational demands, as well as the opportunities available to each choice of a student. If a student wants to be a sports person, what type of sports should the person be? What are the secondary career pathways for a sports person that's retired? Broadcasting, writing, coaching. I mean, those are specific areas that directly spin off what you've done in sports. You have to consider that. If you don't consider that, then you're likely going to end up.
We're talking about sports. Let's talk about FIFA. Lessons to be learned for our kids on FIFA.
It's interesting. Anyone that has watched the matches so far would have recognized the ball here, and would probably the Brazil 2014 ball, and would have known that the shape of this ball is different from the shape of previous balls. Would have known that if you like, the diameter, up to the diameter, the specification is totally different. So there is a lot of maths that goes into generating a ball like this. You might just think that that's PE. No, it's not PE. It's much
it's very mathematical.
Very mathematical in the design of it. They would have known that the role of a team in winning or losing a game, because sports reflects the real world. If you don't understand team dynamics, when you go into work, you find out you're not working alone, you're working as part of a team. Some will be senior to you, others will be junior to you. How do you position yourself? How do you work with leadership? What do you bring out in terms of skills? How do you motivate your team? How do you get your team to do better than what they are supposed to do? Especially when they have a new challenge. How do you rise up to a new challenge and say, we used to do this way, but now there's a new opportunity. We have to play this way. So why do you need to put emphasis on scoring the goal and not who scored the goal?
Which means our kids in school should be learning about intelligent sports, intelligent PE. In other words, not just the skill to be an athlete and run, or the skill to play football, but should know the nitty-gritty and the details of the game intelligently.
And of winning and losing. Because I hear people say this all the time, may the best team win. The best team never wins. The best team can never win. It's the most strategic team that wins. Because the team that is guided and coached and mentored will always outplay the team that is more talented. Because talent will count for absolutely nothing when it comes to a team sport. Because you are aggregating the talent of the team, you're not looking at individual talent. So if you're a lone ranger, you cannot do well in this regard. You've got to be able to work as a team, respect each other's opinion, draw on each other's comments before you take any particular decision. And it's been great. And again, it went into geography. Now we know where Latin America is. Now we know the real countries of Latin America. Then we know the footballing countries of Latin America. Every single team that was involved right at the beginning of the World Cup, all 32 nations, are now ingrained in our memory, because we looked at them and said, okay, which team will likely win, which team will lose. Then we look at the color combination of the team. So it's a whole minefield. If you look at football, especially the particular World Cup that is going on now, you can see you can teach a whole set of class on it without making reference to sports. So you look at the music of the team. The music reflects the culture of the nation. Why is it that they come with certain instruments, certain musical instruments when they are playing a particular team? So it's musical, it's sporting, it's mathematical, it's geographic. So when you look at it, it's very, very comprehensive. And I would want students to sit down and watch the recorded version. Since if they were busy and they don't watch the match live, watch the recorded version and see how that differs from the commentaries that you read in newspaper. That's reporting. So you're looking at events, you are participating in an event, and then you are given a synopsis of the events. You see the element of bias in certain sports writer, and in particular newspapers, they are leaning, those left-leaning, right-leaning, all of this comes up. So it goes into journalism, it goes into communication. So that's the reason why it should not just be pushed aside and say, oh, football is for footballers or for football fans. No, football is too important to be left to only the addict. Because there are valuable lessons that the banker will get from football, that the preacher will get from football, that the scientists will get from football. So the whole game of football is bigger than football or soccer itself.
So intelligent sports for our kids. Well, let's look at, you received an award recently, and you're one of the 100 most influential people of the last 100 years. Tell us what these awards.
Yeah, that was a surprise, because I wouldn't say it that way. I think it was more of popularity, because they looked at the last 100 years, and we're looking at individuals that have made significant contribution. I would not have even nominated myself. I had the opportunity, I didn't, because you were looking at people that have made profound contribution, people that have discovered something new, people that have come up with a new way of doing things. So I really didn't consider myself. I was surprised. It was a big shock to me that they said I was one of 100 most influential people in the last 100 years, because when you look at what we've done, we've only set out clearly our vision that every single person on earth has a talent. That talent must be discovered. That's our underlying principle. Once that talent is discovered, then development comes in, and then deployed to the generation. So what they were saying is that we've come up with a new way of education. We didn't come up with a new way of education. We re-articulated what people like Einstein said, that every single person is a genius, but don't expect the fish to climb a tree and then judge the fish on its ability to climb a tree. So it's a long, I think it's a well laid down historical mantra. What we've done is given, by the power of technology and the convergence of quite a few things that have happened, is be able to bring that out at a massive scale. So we produce more child genius according to statistics than any other establishment. And we've been fortunate to be given the tools. I don't believe there is anything unusual about us or anything superior to the previous 100 years. The previous 100 years, they don't have the luxury of having a video that can be held in one hand and videoed. They didn't have a mobile phone that can do the work of great photography. They didn't have the technology. If they didn't have the technology, you cannot judge them against the next generation, to whom much is given, much is expected. So we've been given so much that the least we can do is exceed the achievement of the previous generation.
Tell us how your faith has helped you become a mentor and contribute so much to educating youngsters and making them child geniuses.
It's very simple. God is a genius. He cannot make anything different from what he is. That's why Genesis was saying that made man in his own image after his own likeness. So if God is a genius, he can only produce geniuses. So my faith comes from the fact that if the Almighty is the creator, has made man in his own image, it means man has to behave like his creator and not behave against his creator, because most times we are rebellious. We don't want to follow, if you like, the blueprint that the creator has given to us. So if I didn't have my faith, I would not even have that informed position that every child can achieve. I would have the distorted position of the binomial distribution, say only 5% of us are geniuses, and then we have 80% of us that are normal, and 5% are failures. No, God has no time for failures.
Definitely. Your faith as a Christian has actually helped you become who you are today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris, and we'll look forward to having you next week.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, this is Education Talk, where we review various issues and challenges faced by parents, teachers, and students. If you've got questions, you can send emails to educationtalk@loveworldtv.co.uk, and we'll be offering you solutions to those questions. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of our questions and our programs, rather.